So let's first talk about what's happening in terms of round two of dialogues between US and Iran. After days of mixed signals, threats being issued on social media by both sides and the countdown for the ceasefire ending continuously ticking, still there is no clarity on whether Iran is going to take part in the dialogue or not. As far as US is concerned, remember Donald Trump through several posts through his statements has confirmed that yes, US is willing, the delegation is willing to take part in the conversation. However, Tehran says it has not decided, it's unsure. And between the two, the Strait of Hormuz has become both a bargaining chip and a battlefield as well. Now, this comes after a turbulent first round of talks in Islamabad that ended without a breakthrough. And since then, escalation has continued alongside diplomacy. US maintains a blockade on the Iranian ports, intercepts vessels, seizes vessels, and Iran in response has said that it is going to retaliate. And there's a lot happening over whether the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened or not. We have some breaking inputs coming in on the broadcast. The question, of course, is will there be a breakthrough? More than that, the question is will there be a round two of talks, a round two of dialogue between US and Iran? Pakistani source says US-Iran talks on track for Wednesday. A Pakistani source involved in the discussions has told Reuters, the news agency, that there was momentum for a second round of US-Iran talks to start. So according to this Pakistani source, things are moving forward. Okay, I'm being told that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah is speaking at the moment, and we are cutting live to that.
पड़ा हुआ बंगाली बोलने वाला ही बंगाल का मुख्यमंत्री बनेगा। बंगाल का कुल्टी वालों, मुझे बताओ, कमल के निशान पर बटन दबाओगे क्या? ये ममता दीदी को आवाज सुनाई पड़ेगी क्या? जोर से बोलिए, कमल के निशान पर बटन दबाओगे क्या? आगे आओ भाई। ओ, हमारे प्रत्याशी को जिताओगे क्या? जोर से बोलो, जिताओगे? मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बंगाल में कमल फूल की सरकार बनाओगे क्या? घुसपैठिया मुक्त बंगाल बनाओगे क्या? सिंडिकेट समाप्त करेंगे क्या? माफियाओं को जेल के सलाखों के पीछे डालेंगे क्या? तो मेरे साथ दोनों हाथ उठाइए, जरा उठाइए दोनों हाथ, विजय के संकल्प की मुट्ठी भींचे और प्रचंड आवाज से बोलिए, जय श्री राम, जय जय श्री राम, वंदे वंदे भारत माता की। कुल्टी वालों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, साधुवाद, नमस्कार।
All right, so that was Union Home Minister Amit Shah in battleground Bengal, hitting out at the TMC, appealing to the voters, of course, to vote in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He says only a Bengali-speaking individual will become the Chief Minister of Bengal. And then when he heard the support coming in from the crowd, he said, will this reach Mamata Banerjee? Will this translate into votes? So Home Minister Amit Shah in Bengal addressing a rally, a massive gathering, hits out at Mamata Banerjee. Remember, there's a fierce political face-off which is brewing as well in the state of West Bengal, from the Prime Minister's Halmudi roadside snack video to the raids, the arrests in terms of IPAC, and of course the massive meeting of the top security officials that took place in the state of West Bengal. Derek O'Brien and others in the TMC, remember, during the press conference said something is going to happen in the next 150 hours. So every single day there's a new political face-off in the state of West Bengal, and all of it, of course, escalating just ahead of elections. As far as voting is concerned, it will take place in two phases. 23rd April is the first phase of voting, 29th April is the second phase of voting, and the results, of course, will come on the 4th of May. Just ahead of first phase of polling in West Bengal, you heard the Union Home Minister Amit Shah address a massive gathering there in Battlefield, Bengal, hitting out at Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, hitting out at the TMC. We're moving on now and shifting our focus back to the peace talks. Will it happen? That's the big question. Everybody, of course, is hoping for negotiations, the round 2 of peace talks to take place. And as far as the American delegation is concerned, according to reports, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of US, is going to lead the delegation. But will Tehran agree? Will Tehran take part in this dialogue? As of now, Tehran says it's unsure. It has not decided whether it wants to take part or not, constantly reiterating that US has breached the ceasefire violation. So the big question ahead of second round of talks with US, Iran is publicly drawing a clear line. There is no confirmed plan and no final decision has been taken on part of Iran. As far as US is concerned, the delegation is ready. J.D. Vance is going to lead that delegation. But who will the US delegation talk to in Pakistan if Iran is not willing to take part? Now, as far as the foreign ministry of Iran is concerned, in public, they have stated that they are unsure about taking part in the talks, the round 2 of negotiation that is supposed to take place between US and Iran in Pakistan and Islamabad. Officials say the conditions on ground remain unstable with continued military pressure, the ongoing blockade and recent maritime seizures making the environment unsuitable for diplomacy. So that's what the foreign ministry of Tehran has said, that they are unsure at the moment whether or not they want to take part in this round 2 of negotiations that is supposed to happen in Islamabad. Preparations are underway already in Pakistan for the talks to take place, although there's no confirmation as far as Iran is concerned. Let's take a look at some details in terms of what US has said, backing talks, and how Iran has denied it. So this is what US's position is. We agreed to be there. Iran says the demands have not been met and US has violated ceasefire. US says talks set up in Islamabad. Iran says no plans for second round. There's no confirmation coming in from Iran. United States says that they want talks to take place. They are pushing for conditions for talks. Iran says excessive, unrealistic demands coming in from United States of America. Donald Trump says won't lift Hormuz blockade, and Iran says the blockade is a key obstacle to talks, the key obstacle for round 2 of negotiations. Unless that happens, perhaps there'll be no progress. US says no more Mr. Nice Guy. Remember that post put out by Donald Trump where he said that if they don't agree to a deal, then US will strike each and every power plant and bridge in Iran. And in that particular post, he said no more Mr. Nice Guy. Iran says no talks amid threats. So as far as US is concerned, it's issuing threats at the same time. They're talking about a dialogue. US said, and this is the action that US took on ground in the Strait of Hormuz. It seized an Iranian ship. This, according to Iran, is an act of armed piracy. Iran said this is also a violation of the ceasefire. United States said bombs will go off. Iran's response, the atmosphere is not conducive for a dialogue to take place. So these are the kind of statements that have come in from both sides ahead of round 2 of dialogue that is supposed to take place in Pakistan. Meanwhile, we have some breaking inputs coming in. And after the Iranian vessel was seized by US, now here's a stern warning coming in from Iran for US. Iran says will respond directly and will retaliate to this hostile action. Iran is also saying that they are ready to deliver an immediate response. So Iran responding to its vessel being seized by US and saying that they are going to respond to this. There will be retaliation. Let me go across to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, all of us, the entire world, is looking forward for some sort of a breakthrough. Meanwhile, Iran is not confirming officially whether it is going to take part or not. Instead, just like US, now Iran also issuing threats, talking about retaliation.
Yes, first of all, Iran has said it will retaliate. Now, Iran has said a lot since the time the cargo ship was hit by the American guided missile destroyer. But what will Iran do? That's not very clear. And Iran hasn't done anything so far. The second issue really relates to the talks. Now, till J.D. Vance gets on the plane. And then you can assume that the Iranians have agreed. Till J.D. Vance gets on the plane, it's hard to say whether these talks will actually take place today or not. Because so far, there seems to be no sign of the Iranians budging. They believe that they won the war. America says it won the war. Iran says we declared victory. So both sides have won the war. And this same war. Now, the question is, naturally, if you're a winner of a war, you have the ability to set terms. Both sides are setting terms. And both sides can't agree with the terms that have been set by the other side. So very clearly at this point, there seems to be no place where both sides can say, we agree with you. Now the only thing that can come up is perhaps the extension of the ceasefire. After that, the process of give and take can begin.
Absolutely. Srinjoy, do stay on with us. Let's also talk about this back and forth that's happening on part of Iran, whether it's on the Strait of Hormuz or now taking part in a dialogue, round 2 of dialogue with US. Now, does this stem from the division or the internal conflict as far as the leadership in Iran is concerned? There are signals of reopening, closures and maritime action that they were issued in quick succession, often contradicting each other within hours. So while diplomatic channels talk about de-escalation, the IRGC linked action at sea and shifting announcements from different Iranian authorities have made Hormuz less a policy decision and more a live reflection of competing centers of power within Tehran. We have some breaking inputs coming in as well. Now, amid all this, we're given to understand that the International Maritime Organization is working on an evacuation plan for hundreds of ships that have been stuck in the Strait of Hormuz since the US-Israel war on Iran began. According to reports, International Maritime Organization is going to come up with a plan to evacuate hundreds of ships. Let's go across to Srinjoy. Perhaps that's the need of the hour, since there's no clarity on what will happen in the Strait of Hormuz with the US naval blockade, with Iran saying that it's completely under their control, announcing reopening, then a closure. The International Maritime Organization might just step in.
Yes, even if they do, what happens? Supposing one ship is going out just at the mouth of the Hormuz, and there is a anti-ship missile that hits it. It explodes and it floats just at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. Then shipping and the entire shipping process is stopped for a long, long time. So who is going to take responsibility for that? There is a concern there because it's so narrow. All it will take is one anti-ship missile, one drone, armed drone, and that the entire Strait of Hormuz can be closed for a considerable while. So these are things that have to be kept in mind.
Absolutely. Srinjoy, stay on with us. Let's also take a look at a video that has been released by the US military. And in the video, one can see a machine gunner aboard a helicopter pointing the high caliber gun towards the vessels, asking them to go back and informing them that they are entering a conflict zone. So there are constant announcements, radio warnings that are being issued to the ship while these guns are being pointed at, heavy caliber machine guns are being pointed at the vessel. CENTCOM says US forces so far have directed 27 vessels to turn around. Let's take a look.
United States warship 115. You are entering the area of a military blockade. This blockade of Iranian port will be enforced and applies to all vessels regardless of flag. Any vessel with further intent to enter or exit an Iranian port will be subject to the right of visit and search in accordance with international law. If you attempt to run the blockade, we will compel compliance with force. Over. United States warship 115. You are entering the area of a military blockade. This blockade of Iranian port will be enforced and applies to all vessels regardless of flag. Any vessel with further intent to enter or exit an Iranian port will be subject to the right of visit and search in accordance with international law. If you attempt to run the blockade, we will compel compliance with force. Over.
So in that video, you see how a machine gunner aboard a helicopter is constantly issuing radio warnings to all the vessels, saying that they are moving towards a restricted military zone, and this naval blockade applies to all of them. Now, this is what happened as far as the Iranian vessel Tuzka is concerned in the Strait of Hormuz, and it was on its way to the Bandar Abbas port. That's when warnings were also issued, radio warnings for Tuzka as well. Now, according to reports, Tuzka tried to evade the naval blockade. That's when some shots were fired and the Marines took complete charge of the ship. They got on board and started the search operation. They disabled the entire vessel and then it was seized by US. All of this here transpired in the Strait of Hormuz, which now of course is a restricted military zone, with Iran saying it has absolute control and US saying that their naval blockade is still in place. This is how things turned out for Tuzka, that was later seized by US. And this entire process of seizing an Iranian vessel, Iran says, is the biggest obstacle as far as round 2 of talks are concerned. Even as Iran publicly questions whether it will attend the second round of talks, or deeper uncertainty is now emerging. Who is actually calling the shots inside Tehran? Like we said earlier, there seems to be a division, a tiff as far as the leadership is concerned. The diplomatic channel talks about de-escalation. Let's take a look at the graphics here. Let's break down the details in terms of the division that has now come to fore in terms of the Iranian leadership. The question is, who is really calling the shots, whether they actually want de-escalation. And this is what United States of America said on Tuzka. Nikki Haley claims, the US Republican leader claims, the seized ship in Hormuz headed from China to Iran. Tuzka linked to chemical shipments for missiles. The material that was found on board, according to Nikki Haley, is used for missiles. The ship refused repeated orders to stop. That's when the action was taken. Another reminder that she says, underline this, that this is a reminder that China is helping Iran. Something that many would say is already in public domain. It's not a secret anymore. Now, let's take a look at what transpired. So, US, of course, has tightened its control as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned through the naval blockade. The blockade has entered week 2. 27 ships turned back by the US Navy. As far as the Tuzka vessel is concerned, seized by the US Navy. Iranian cargo Tuzka was seized. It was first disabled and then seized. Tuzka was seized in the Gulf of Oman. It attempted to evade the US naval blockade. Thereafter, US Marines took control of the ship. They boarded the ship. Up to 5,000 containers were checked by the officials, the Marines who got on board Tuzka. The ship was disabled before it was seized. And now, this is the latest flashpoint. The seizure of Tuzka is the latest flashpoint between America and Iran. Tuzka, this is the route that the vessel took. It departed from Zhuhai in China and it was on its way to the Bandar Abbas port. It stopped at Port Klang, which is in Malaysia. Thereafter, according to the reports, it tried evading the naval blockade. It was headed towards the Bandar Abbas port. When warnings were issued, it tried to evade the naval blockade of United States of America. That's when action was taken. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, publicly the stand Iran has taken is that it's not sure whether it's going to attend the second round of talks or not. But there's a deeper uncertainty which is now emerged. And the question that is being asked is, who really is calling the shots in Iran? Who is taking this decision of whether Iran is going to take part or not? And why is that question being asked? It's because of this divide that is witnessed across the leadership in Iran. As far as the diplomatic channel is concerned, it is led by Abbas Araghchi, which talks about de-escalation, which talks about a dialogue and peace talks. And then you have the political leadership headed by Ghalib Baf, the Security Council, and the military corps, the IRGC, which of course controls the Hormuz operations. Now, their objective, this is their objective. Diplomatic channel pushes for talks and for de-escalation. The political leadership formally is in charge of the negotiations that are taking place. But the military corps, the IRGC, acts in the Strait of Hormuz. It fires on vessels and it overrides the policy that is decided by the diplomatic channel and the political leadership. Furthermore, diplomatic channel announced that the Strait of Hormuz is reopening. The political political leadership, limited control on ground. And as far as the military core, the IRGC is concerned, it has emerged as the real power center in Iran that often overrules the policy. Let's take a look at some breaking inputs coming in on the broadcast. Shifting focus to that, this is what we are picking up. Stage is set in Pakistan, but Iran is still unsure. That's the big claim now coming in from the Iranian media. Iranian media says no delegation has left for Pakistan. So IRIB, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, has said, and I quote, no Iranian diplomatic delegation, be it a primary or secondary team or an initial or follow-up mission, has travelled to Islamabad, has travelled to Pakistan so far. Let's go back to Srinjoy, who continues to be with us on the broadcast. On one hand, there are details like who's going to lead the American delegation also now in public domain. On the other, Iran's still not ready to take a position. In fact, the Iranian media is claiming that the delegation has not left, neither the primary nor the secondary team. They have not left for talks to Pakistan.
Tehran is only about 2-3 hours away from Islamabad. So if the talks are tomorrow, they can leave very late in the night and still reach. That's hardly a problem. We will perhaps get an indication of whether there's going to be a discussion between Iran and America tomorrow when J.D. Vance leaves. If J.D. Vance gets on the plane, you will know for sure that yes, the Iranians will be coming across. Otherwise, it's hard to imagine J.D. Vance getting onto a plane and coming, shaking hands with the Shehbaz Sharif and then walking into an empty room. That doesn't happen. So chances are that if he does get onto a plane, then he will be meeting the Iranians in Islamabad.
Absolutely. I think we'll have to wait to see how this all turns out. Iran unsure still as far as the second round of talks are concerned. Srinjoy, thank you for getting us the latest. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. We have a lot more lined up on the other side for our viewers. Stay on with us here on Times Now.